Okay, so after last week's catastrophic blog post, Payday 3 needed a win, and well, I think they got that win firstly by putting a stop to the proposed ammo funnel rework, but secondly by announcing Payday 3's next free heist, Diamond District. Releasing just over a week from now, on August 19th, this new heist is a spiritual successor of sorts to 4 stores, where instead we're going to be making our way down the famous New York Diamond District and stealing from 5 stores. This week's blog post takes a deep dive into the upcoming heist, setting the scene, outlining the gameplay, and of course showing us some screenshots of the heist itself. Beckett returns as our contractor for this heist, turning to the Payday gang after a deal goes wrong for one of his associates. Now, this really makes me think that the main objective of the heist is going to be stealing a certain amount of valuables. However, perhaps there could be an optional objective in the map, similar to mall crashes where we have to destroy a certain amount of valuables as well. Narratively, this makes sense, as we could be sending a message on behalf of Beckett's contact, and equally, it adds a brand new objective type into Payday 3. But of course, that's not to mention that destroying things just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun on this map. There's a lot of glass, so there's a lot of things to break, and why not make an objective out of that, Starbreeze? But as I said, that's making the assumption that the main objective of the heist is stealing a certain amount of loot, which it might not necessarily be. You see, towards the end of the teaser trailer posted by Starbreeze earlier this week, there is a specific large blue diamond, and I think it would be interesting to see that particular diamond be the main objective. That way, the particular store that diamond is in could change each time you played the heist. As each store has its own layout and security systems, that would instantly set up 5 variations of this heist, adding that extra layer of RNG that Payday 3 heists are sorely lacking. And don't get me wrong, this isn't as much RNG as I would like to see in Payday 3 heists. I would love to see more, but it would certainly be a step in the right direction. Of course, even if the primary objective is to steal that particular diamond, I wouldn't expect it just to be stealing that one diamond. So even after you've got the diamond, I'd like to see us have to secure at least enough loot that we'd have to rob 2 stores. That way, regardless of whether or not you're planning on securing all loot, you'll still have to engage with what makes the gameplay of this heist unique, being the movement from store to store. If you wanted a narrative reason to justify why we'd have to rob multiple stores on that street if we are just going for the one diamond, perhaps we're trying to make it look like a much larger robbery, of which that diamond was just one of the many things stolen. That way, the robbery can't be traced back to Beckett's contact, or Beckett, or by extension, the Payday gang. Equally, I think it would be interesting to have at least one mandatory objective on either side of the road, so that you've always got to cross the road, which is seemingly one of the main challenges of this heist, so much so that they've developed a whole new gameplay mechanic just to help us do that. Now, the blog post describes this heist as a classic smash and grab heist, which makes sense for a heist set on the Diamond District, and if you look at this picture in particular of the interior of the With This Ring store, it seems like most of the valuable is grabbable loot, so nothing that has to go into a bag on your back. With an interior so full of loose valuables, and the fact that this heist has been described as a smash and grab, all I'm saying is this seems like the perfect update with which to include the feature that shows how much things are worth when you pick them up. So when you pick up loose cash, the value displays on screen, and when you throw bags into the van, the value displays on screen. Obviously that's not been confirmed for this update, nor has it been confirmed as something coming to Payday 3 at all, but I just think given the nature of this heist, it would be a really nice quality of life feature to make its way into the game alongside it. But before we continue, I want to hear from you. What do you think of the Diamond District heist and everything we've learnt about it through this week's blog post? Does it excite you, or does it still feel like too little too late? Let me know in the comment section down below, and if you haven't already, whilst you're down there, consider clicking that subscribe button. But of course, that loot value system that we just spoke about wasn't mentioned in the blog post, and neither are a lot of things that we could be seeing coming with this update. Remember, Starbreeze have promised us DLC 3 in August, and we know they like to keep at least 4 weeks between updates, so unless they're planning on back-to-back updates, which I think could set a very unhealthy precedent going forward, it's possible that DLC 3 releases alongside this free content as well. Last time we got Clover, a free character pack alongside DLC 2, so this time maybe we get Diamond District, a free heist pack alongside DLC 3. Though that would leave them a very short window of time to actually start advertising DLC 3, because right now, whilst we have a lot of community speculation as to what the heist would be, we don't actually know yet. But as the Boys in Blue dev update video released exactly 1 week before the heist itself came out, I guess if we are going to be getting DLC 3 alongside the Diamond District heist, we'll be getting a dev update video on Monday, perhaps. But anyway, that's all quite speculative. Something that's less speculative though is the possibility of us getting the new gadget alongside this heist. Remember, a few weeks ago we were introduced to the new trip laser, so perhaps that will be coming alongside the Diamond District. But I'm sure the question on everybody's mind is, well, is a free heist going to be enough? And after 11 months, considering this is the first entirely original free heist, the answer is of course not. I remember during the run-up to the Boys in Blue release date, the community sentiment was that DLC 2 would be the turning point for the game, and while that was a great DLC pack, since then we've had an unfortunately lackluster event in the form of Mask Mania, and well, that's kind of it really. We got a small patch to fix some of the issues that the Boys in Blue update had, but that's all we got, so we weren't really back, were we? Now, with that said, the devs are now back in the office after what was probably a well-needed break, and to reuse the analogy that I used in my Boys in Blue video of DLC 2, 3 and 4 being a 3-course meal, while we've waited for our second course to come out of the kitchen for a little longer than expected, at least it's coming with a side dish in the form of the Diamond District heist. Regardless of whether or not these two heists are released simultaneously or a week apart, we are hopefully about to get a sizable chunk of Payday 3 content. Look, in all seriousness, for the longest time, Boys in Blue felt like it was going to be the comeback for Payday 3. But considering we're now going to be getting 3 heists in the span of just over a month, this really has the potential to be the second win for the game. However, I fear if we don't land on our feet with the next few updates, then we never will. So, no pressure Starbreeze, but the ball is in your court. Those of us who have stuck around the community really believe you have been cooking up some really great stuff, so show us what you've got. From the little we've seen of the Diamond District so far, I'm really interested, and I think this has the potential to be a really strong heist. And speaking of really strong heists, we all like Payday 2, don't we? I certainly do, though I've never played it on PC, I've always played it on console. In fact, I've never played any game on PC, but that's all going to change in the very near future. See, I'm currently putting together my first ever PC, and as soon as that's built, I plan on live streaming my first time playing Payday 2 on PC, which will probably be my first time playing any game on PC. And I can imagine that will be quite a fun thing to point and laugh at. I can't imagine I'm going to be any good to start with, but I guess that's all part of the fun really, isn't it? I also intend on getting some of the other Starbreeze partners involved, and of course hosting some open lobbies with chat too. So if any of that sounds like something you'd be interested in, my Twitch channel is linked in the description of this video, as well as the link to my brand new Discord server, which will be the best place to keep up to date on when those streams are going to be happening. But of course, updates on streams and so on isn't the only thing that Discord server is going to be used for. Last week we ran a giveaway for some Payday 2 content, and going forward it'll be one of the best ways to get in contact with me, as well as keep up to date with all of the content that I'm working on, especially going into Q4 of 2024. I've got some pretty exciting things planned that I'm looking forward to share with everyone, and of course you'll most likely hear about that first if you're in the Discord server. It's also worth noting that Payday 3 is currently 50% off thanks to a sale running until August 16th. So if the Diamond District heist has piqued your interest and you don't already own Payday 3, now could be a good time to pick it up, although I'd personally suggest holding off until we actually see some gameplay. If you want a refresher on some of the other Operation Medic Bag changes that we could be seeing coming alongside this update, or in the September update for that matter, click the video on screen now and I'll see you in the next video.